Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cynthia Linox Show. I am your host, Cynthia Linox. Today, we're going to be streaming another episode of Vintage Charm at 60 Plus. Boy, I love that name. It just seems like a name where you kind of, arrive and you just show up with your confidence and assertiveness during this season of life and just in pursuit, not even pursuit, just really being to live the life that you want on your own terms unapologetically. It just almost seems like it gives you the right to be and to just be who you are. So for that, we need to know who we are. Anyway, you know that we have a date every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And if you can't meet our date at 2 p.m. Thursdays on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, then you can stream 24/7 anytime and you will see the broadcasts for this week. So again, I hope that you can meet me for our date. Otherwise, you'll be leaving me standing up. But anyway, we are streaming in 3.5 million households. So I know at least a few of you will be here with me today. Otherwise, if you can't, you can always stream it 24/7, anytime, whenever it's convenient for you. If you need to take a look at my website, which is still under construction, as a matter of fact, I heard from my IT guy today, and he's had some things come up, and that's somebody that my husband. He's just every contribution that he can make, he just does. He found this person who took an interest in my site and so forth, and so anyway, they're gonna kind of suggest some things to get it going in such a direction that I may like. So I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, my website, if you go to cynthialinox.com, it'll take you to the cynthialinoxshow.com, or the same website is named Vintage Charm at 60plus.com. So to make it simple, cynthialinox.com, and you will be directed to my website. Now, when you go to my website, you can send me an email if you have a question that you want me to answer, or if you have something you would like me to address. I would be more than happy to take a look at it, and we can talk, share it on this broadcast. Um, Go to the website. All the way in the bottom, you'll see a square box in the bottom. You can just shoot me the email and I will get it. Again, it's cynthialinox.com. Send me the email. I'm also a life coach. I already shared that with many of you. I've already shared it on the show. And if you have any questions, if you want an intro consult with me, you can shoot me an email and request that. And there is a complimentary consultation that I offer, just to make sure that we match and that you are comfortable, because once I take you on as a client, I only have one goal: results. The same pressure, not pressure, but the same demand I put on myself for results, that is what I will require of you. And that means that you would have to do the work so that you could achieve the results. And sometimes it's not even a goal or a dream that you're going after. Sometimes it's just that, people, I want to know who I am. I don't know who I am. I want to have confidence. I want to be assertive. I want to feel confident in my skin. I don't want to be afraid. I really want to show up being myself and not going through theatrics to please people or to avert criticism. I want to get rid of the fears and so forth. And I think during this season, this is it for us. This season is the second half. That's it. This season is the second half. And if we're going to live a meaningful life, now is the season to start. Because if you think of it, in terms of summers or seasons, again, this is the second half. So it's not like we want to wait around. And I mean, and even if you were like in the earlier seasons of your life, you want to begin to live a meaningful life. That's why this broadcast, even though I call it vintage charm at 60 plus, really the things that I share, it applies to just about everyone. Because when I talk about going through a journey of self-discovery, or living with a positive mindset, or being optimistic and so forth, that applies. As a matter of fact, if you learn that before you reach this season, it's great, because then you can navigate through life dealing with situations effectively. That's the whole idea. You need to know how to deal with, how to be resilient, and how to deal with situation, reframing your perspective and so forth. As a matter of fact, talking about that, last week I talked about, I'm always, the core of my message always has to do with living a positive life and being optimistic. And somebody had a question about that. And they said, life is not a straight line. What do we do with the ups and downs? And I'm paraphrasing it. What do we do when we have situations? How do I address that? What do we do with that? Well, now I've got to say that things happen by default, whether you call it bad or negative, or situations that that's painful, whether it's emotionally, mentally, or physically. Think life happens, and we cannot change that. That's just life happens. As a matter of fact, talking about life happens, a couple of years ago, I was skating, and I skate all the time, and I know how to skate, and I love to skate, roller skate. So my girlfriend was in town, and I said, "Let's go." She's like, "Oh yeah, let's go." And so she was in the kiddie area, the kids, area on the platform over here, and I was in the main skating ring, which is where I always skate. And I was just going around and carrying on and so forth, and just really having a good time. Now, I know that you never, on roller skates, you never lean back, because that's just an accident waiting to happen. You don't lean back, and you want to really make sure that your knees are almost bent. You don't buckle and have them stiff. I know all of those techniques. And I was skating, and this girl Susan was skating with me. Someone else I didn't know, but we were just talking and so forth, because she's like a great skater, almost Olympic type level. And I was complimenting her. I was saying, "Girl, you just belong, in some kind of arena or whatever." And I don't know. I guess I got distracted or something. I fell. I fell flat on my butt. She said, "Let me help you up." And I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm good," because you can get yourself up. And I did this in order to pull myself up, and I found my foot doing like this. It was dangling, completely detached. Imagine that, completely detached. You think I planned that? Of course not. I didn't plan that. My I'm looking here because I'm trying to make this screen bigger. It was detached. The pain that came with that experience, it was unbearable. It was unbearable. So they had to take a report and so forth, and put me in a wheelchair. And my friend that went with me, she took me to an urgent care. I got there, they took an x-ray and so forth, and the doctor came out and said, "Your foot is shattered." And I'm like, "No kidding." She says, "And it has to be addressed right away. It has to." She says, "You have to get this taken care of within the next day or two." I hadn't called my husband yet, because I wanted to have the diagnosis before, because I know that if I called him, he would be like, headed to exactly where I was to be with me. So I called him and I told him, and I said, "Well, why don't you meet us at home, because Joanne is with me, and, meet us at home." So he got to the house, we got there at the same time. And I was in so much pain. I was in so much pain. Something totally unforeseen. I did not, it was just, it really was just what you call a freak accident. And I'm sharing this with you in response to what this person wouldn't talk about. Life is not a flat line. You're right. I wish it was flat at that time, but it wasn't. So I got home and I was in so much pain, and I called my doctor. With doctors, at least my medical plan, you had you have to have a referral. So I called my doctor. This is about 6 o'clock in the evening. Everybody is gone in most cases. So I called and I said, I broke my foot. I need to have to be referred to an orthopedic doctor. I needed a surgeon actually. And I mean, you get the after hours thing when you call at 6 o'clock because they're gone. So my husband, he just went right into a proactive mode. He called his doctor, and he has a great relationship with his doctor. His doctor is like a retainer. So, he's there at his beck and call. So he called his doctor and he said, I need to take her to the hospital emergency room because she needs surgery right away. And he said, no, no, no. He said, don't take her there because broken foot does not constitute an emergency. And I'm like, what? Of course, he's on line with his doctor. And I'm like, I'm thinking this should be a national holiday because I was in so much pain. So uh, his doctor gave him like two referrals. And because of proximity, I called this doctor first. And this particular doctor, he was in the Bahamas, someplace with his family on vacation. So the next doctor that was on the list of two, I sent a text and I said, Dr. Heyer, I'm in so much pain and I need your help. And sent him a text. He answered in like 2 minutes. And he said, now remember, I had never met this orthopedic surgeon. And this particular surgeon he's a sports orthopedic doctor. So he takes care of like athletes and so forth. So he's like down in the trenches. He knows what to do. Well, I mean, different types of injuries and so forth. They all know what to do, no disrespect. It's just that, you know, so anyway, so he texts back and he said, do you have the medical report? Do you have the diagnosis from the doctor received from the urgent care? So I sent it to him and whatever. And he wrote back in about less than 15 minutes. And he said, if you are available tomorrow, I can perform surgery on you. I'm telling you, talk about being positive and optimistic. I mean, what are the chances that the OR would be available at his place, whatever hospital? I've never been to that hospital. That it would be available and that he would have an anesthesiologist available for that assignment, and a medical team, the staff, nurses and what are the chances that all this whole team of experts would be available to help me? 2:30 in the afternoon. He said, I'll see you there at 2:30 in the afternoon. And I was like, so I was there the next day. The next day, imagine, remember the doctor in the urgent care had said to me, she said, you need to have this taken care of within a day or two. Otherwise, you're going to have complications. So with that, I just knew in my mind, I just knew that I needed help right away. And for some reason, even though I was in a lot of pain, I was just sure that it would come true. Now, remember, if I had waited for my doctor, not until the following morning is when I got a referral from her to see an orthopedic doctor. I don't even know if that doctor was a surgeon. I don't know and when you go to see an orthopedic or a specialist, first of all, you have to get an appointment to see them. And when you get that appointment, then there's x-rays, there's a whole bunch of, assessment they have to go through. And then they schedule you for surgery. That could have been a week out because, I'm sure had patients that preceded me. So I would have had to wait. But my husband, because he went into proactive mode and called his doctor and so forth. I got Dr. Heyer, and I was I was in surgery at 2:30 at 3 o'clock ish the next day. And I did not even have to overnight. I was out in like 2 or 3 hours. I was back home and propped up, my leg in bed, and he said to me, he said, "You will be skating again in 8 weeks." Now, look, I was in so much pain. It's like, okay, he's just telling me that for me to feel better, but I believed him. So I healed. It took me about 4 weeks, and then he put me in a temporary cast and so forth. Then he sent me to therapy, and they wanted to drag it out. And I said no, because I thought I was well. I felt better. I could stand on that foot, on that leg. I could stand, I could balance. And for me, that was a big deal. And, I had to learn to kind of walk again, heel toe, heel, and so forth. My point for sharing all that is that was not planned. Life happens. But because of my mindset, because of how I think, because of the way I govern my thoughts, I had to get help right away. I left no rooms for but, if, maybe, perhaps, shoulda, coulda, woulda. None of that. I knew I needed help right away. So I was healed the next, well, 8 months, 8 weeks later. I was again walking. I was able to walk and so forth. And in a few months later, I was on the slopes skiing. And I sent the doctor a thank you. Well, I had already written him a great review because I love to write reviews. But I sent him pictures and a thank you note saying, "Thank you. Here I am, back to normal." And until this day, everything is fine. The point is, things happen. So when things happen that undermines our optimism, that is just like, that's natural. You can't stop that. Things happen. And sometimes it's, we have to be resilient, and learn how to bounce back. Sometimes we may need support from the people around us. Sometimes we may need professional help, mental health, if we have difficulty dealing with those situations. Things happen. So that is the fact that we are positive and optimistic doesn't mean that we are exempt from the vicissitudes of life. No, things happen. We just have to deal with them as they occur. That's just life. Now, I have some people that would say to me, you know what? No, this positive thing doesn't go with me. Think, I rather be realistic and think negative. So when things happen, I'm not surprised and it's not alarming. Now, that I respect that. If that works for you, that's fine. But that doesn't work for me because when I think positive, it's like it attracts opportunities and situations, and it just, I said to my husband the other day, I said, you know what? Because now, you go into the store and there are all these the counters are full of cough medicine and sinus thing and a whole bunch of stuff. And I said, it's interesting how, they display all these things and people really plan for it. And so I said to him, I can't remember the last time I had the flu or a cold. I said, I think the last one was like in 2010, like in 2010, when I remember having a cold and so forth. And I don't get the flu shot because I don't like anything that pokes. I don't like any kind of needle. The only time I get a needle is when I go for lab before my physical. And with that, I always, make sure that they know I need the finest needle and so forth. So, and I said to him, I said, yeah, we haven't, I haven't had a flu and he hasn't had a flu. And it's been great. And I attribute that to really just my mindset. And it doesn't mean that it, precludes anything. It's just that I just don't buy into that. I don't buy into the negative to say when it shows up, then I'm not surprised. No, I think that, you know, that I am healthy, and I pay a lot of attention on my personal well-being, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And so my body, my mind, and my emotions responds to that. They respond to that thought process, because if you know how the mind works, you will understand that when you entertain a thought and you keep playing that program over and over and over, then it gets embedded into your subconscious mind. And once it's in your subconscious mind, what happens is that, your subconscious mind is like, it's like a little factory that produces things based on the information it's fed. And so this is a little factory here. And when that information is channeled to this factory, to your subconscious mind, then it sends out its little workers to produce what you have created by your thoughts. Good or bad, right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It does not discriminate. It simply produces what you have been entertaining, the thoughts. And once you know how that works, I am telling you, people talk about the law of attraction, call it what you will. And if that's what it is, then yes, I subscribe to the laws of attraction, because that's the way I govern my mind for the things that I want, the things that I desire, the things, my dreams, goals. For my life, I have a lot of stuff planned. This season for me is like my best season, particularly since I don't have to deal with corporate America anymore. I had many great years in corporate America, and I learned a lot from it, and I liked it. I can't say that I had a bad experience. I had situations where that were challenging and so forth, but that's, again, that is life. And I don't want to make it seem so light. It's just that, yes, I have had challenges. It's just that that's life. That is life. And I don't talk about the negative, because that presents itself. Pain, suffering, discomfort, negativism, that just show up. I don't need to talk about it because it just shows up. Now, if I, keep it at bay, then, I, hope that they don't visit me, but they just show up. And that's why, we can't. And in a lot of situations, when I talk to people, we get into this victim mode, this victim mindset. Why me? Especially during this season of vintage charm. You can't play the role, or you shouldn't play the role of a victim, because you'll never get ahead. You always think that life is against you. And I know this whole thing about ageism, it's a big deal out there. I don't deal in terms of age. For me, it's season. What is your season? What is your season to thrive? And it is now. It is now. Who says? You say. I determine that. Absolutely. In this half of our lives, we determine whatever we want. You determine when your season is. Absolutely. Even if you're still working, because vintage charm at 60 plus doesn't have to do with retirement, it has to do with refinement. So even if you are still working in corporate America, or doing whatever it is that you like to do in life, whether you like it or you have to work, because we have to work to live, um you can still refire, get a new mindset, and start living a meaningful life, start thriving. I ask people, how is it going? And they'll say, here, surviving. No, you don't want to survive. You don't want to just making it. You want to, and you know what? It's not, you determine what's fun for you, what it is that you enjoy, what it is that makes you thrive. And you have to make sure that you have a healthy circle of friends that you can blend with, and, have things in common, and really get together, enjoy yourselves, and do the things that you want to do. And not being, if you want to find another job, Don't go in there thinking yourself a victim. Oh, they're not going to hire me because of my age or because of my race or all of that. You don't want to think that way. Why? That's what you will attract. You have to know your worth and your value. And when you know your worth, when you know, that's why I say everyone has to go through a journey of self discovery. Because if you have not been through a journey of self discovery, if you don't know who you are, you will become what society assigned to you. You will take on the identity that society, society, there's a lot of labels, old, young, rich, poor, black, white, good looking, ugly. There's a lot of labels. You have to determine which label is for you. I just get rid of all the labels. I'm just me. I'm Cynthia, and I show up in all the fullness of who I am, no longer striving, just being who I am. I am just being who I am. And I encourage you to do the same. Just be who you are. Be who you are. Absolutely. But in order to get to that place, you have to know your worth. You have to know your worth so that when you show up, no one is going to be looking at you. I mean, they could be looking at you, but admiringly, not with any kind of criticism or judgment. And if they do, that should not affect you. Why? Because you know who you are. And then, in addition to that, you know your value. You know what you have to contribute. You know what you have to bring to the table. You know your skills and your talent, your gifts, your expertise. You know you. And even if you want to do something new, it's like this show, amigos, this whole thing is new to me. I did not even fathom that I would have a show. Before I left corporate America, I got my certification as a life coach, and that was fine. I was enjoying doing that. But I knew I wanted to reach more people. And I did not even, my thought was like, okay, through speaking engagements, because I'm also a public speaker, speaking engagements and, all of that. And then this presented itself. I didn't go looking for this, for somebody, an expert in media situation, media training. And then I found one of the best and went through the training for the show and so forth. And guess what? You know what? The way I was trained and real excellent training. And as you can see, I've got all my overlays and stuff there and all that. But the whole idea is to have a daily show. That's the whole idea. To have a daily show at the same time, and you bring guests on and so forth. And I think that is wonderful. And I did that my first three shows. I had one guest. Next week I had a second guest. Third week I had by the fourth week I said, you know what? Because you have to do a lot of work to get the guests, or you can get guests, but I was just feeling something else, a different vibe for me. So I gave myself permission. I thought, you know what? It's my show. I want to be here and I want to share with you. I want to join you once a week, every Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I just want to join you. I know it's after lunch, but I just want to join you once a week and just share. Just share with you until I figure out exactly where I'm going with this. So I thought, I'm not going to, it doesn't. So what I'm saying is that you don't have to follow the norm. You don't have to follow the conventional norm. You don't have to follow tradition. You can create your own style, your own swag, your own ways based on your own ideas. And it's not a matter of whether it works or not. This works. Why? Because I am talking to you and you're listening to me. I know that and you know that. I feel great. just coming to you, this broadcast coming to you, me sharing this with you, encouraging you to self-discover and to really coming to a knowledge of who you are and to acknowledge the good things that are in you. That is meaningful to me. It makes me feel great. And I know that it's an encouragement to you. You know why I know that? Because I have a friend that this person, she wrote and she said, "Oh, your show and everything that you share, I'm going to start applying it and so forth." And that was such an encouragement to me. And I've heard that from many other people. They'll drop me a note or DM me or, send me an email. And so that is so encouraging. And you know what? It's going to grow. This may be something totally new. Maybe something totally new. Some people do podcasts, which I want to do a podcast at some point in Spanish. Spanish is my native tongue, so I flow well there. And I'm going to do that, but I just need to concentrate on this first. My point is I gave myself permission to do what I want. Why? Because I'm a vintage charm. And you are in this season. When you're in this season, you can do whatever you want. Pretty much, as long as you don't hurt someone else, you just do whatever you want. Yeah, you see how that works? So we're never a victim. I could say, I started this show, I don't have any guests and whatever. And the person that trained me is always giving us opportunity, people that they know to bring on the show. So I'm not lacking, getting a guest on the show. It's just that I am just feeling something different. And I go with that because I know every time I follow my intuition is because there's truth in there. It's because there's something that I know. See, I don't go by believe. I don't do this thing. I believe this. I believe that. No, 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 no. Comes a point where you know. Comes a point where you know, and that is based on your conscious awareness. Comes a point that you know certain things, and that's why in many areas there are no fears. There's no fear and afraid of this, afraid of that. No, because that's the thing. Many people are just, you don't trust yourself. And I talk to a lot of people, and one of the reasons they don't trust themselves is because a lot of it has to do with religious indoctrination. And it's sad because, and I know because I was in religion, and religion doesn't want you it says your heart is deceitful and so forth. I don't even get into that because if there's one thing that I trust is my heart. Absolutely. I trust my intuition. And every time I follow that, sometimes when I have a decision to make, I just stay still and I just kind of, you know, just allow myself to think and to feel, and you get it and then you make a decision. And I'm telling you, and even if the decision is not the right one, it's no big deal. You just rewind. Absolutely. And you move forward. And there's no fear, because I like to get into a position where I know things. I don't want to believe things like, because there's an element of, it's not even an element of doubt in belief. It's just simply doubt, because belief is believing something else from someone else's truth. But when I discover my truth, then I know, and I move accordingly. That's just me. Now you can do whatever works for you. Bottom line is it has to work, and you can't call yourself a victim of this. Oh, they don't like me, or I can't do this, I can't do that, I don't have the money. And you just find yourself in that space where you can't move forward because you have already classified yourself as a victim. And that's not right. That's not true. You don't have to be a victim. Now you can have a victim mentality, but you don't have to be a victim. The choice is yours. The choice is yours. But that's a very sad place to be, because what happens is that you're blaming all exterior factors, all outside factors for the course of your life, the way you feel, the things that are happening to you, and so forth, where really, uh, you can really set the path for the things you want. You can set the path. Because if this is your path, remember, you can go this way or you can go that way. You can go any way you wish. It doesn't have to be a straight path. That's why it's important to have an open mind. Allow your mind to be curious about things, to be curious, to want to know more. And you can't just say, I was listening to a show not too long, and the person says, no, 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 I don't want to hear that. I already have my thoughts and I don't want to hear that. And I thought that to me was kind of alarming, because, because we have traveled a lot also, you go to places, and, you meet with different cultures, different societies, nationalities, people, traditions, and you learn differences. And one thing we have learned is to respect those differences. And that's why, my husband and I, we are governed by three principles: love everybody, you know, be kind, and be compassionate. That's it. All the other stuff, all of that stuff, I can tell you right now, I don't subscribe to any of it. Love, kindness, and compassion. And that you can apply wherever you are. And, as we travel and meet people, you just attract, the best of people. We arrived in Europe, and before we travel, I do a lot of research. My husband has named me the director of travel and entertainment, so I love that. And I check out the places. We discuss it, we agree upon wherever we're going, and then we we go. But I have got all the notes and stuff. So we arrived there, and I checked. And this is just, I'm just throwing this in there just to share with you the distance between the airport and the hotel we were staying at. So I knew the distance, and I checked the fares for a limo to take us there, taxi, limousine, they call them limo. So I knew that it was like $60. No, no, no. I knew that it was $40. $40 from the airport to the hotel. So we get out, and there are all these taxis, and one particular gentleman, we kind of, went to him, and I said, how much? He said something like $60. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I said, I know it's $40. And he said, okay, $50. Now, he had a really nice limo. So I was okay with that. My husband and I, we thought, oh, well, $50, whatever. So we went with him. And, in the car, he started talking to us. He gave us a bottle of cold water and so forth. And then he was telling us, he was, asking us what's our itinerary. And we said, well, we're going to here, and then we're going to go to Belgium, and then we're going to go Amsterdam and so forth. Then he said, well, if you're going to go to Belgium from here, he says, take the bullet train, which is like the Thalys train and so forth. And he gave us a lot of great information about the city that we were staying in, and other information. My point is, we got such favor with this guy. I mean, he liked us, and he told us that at the end when he dropped the plane. You say, I like you guys. I like this ride, with us. The point is, I already knew how much it would cost. The basic cost, $40, and he said 60. I said, no, 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 no. I know it is 40. And when he said 50, we were okay with that, because of all the cars that were there, his was the biggest, the most comfortable, and the nicest. So we thought we were gonna go in his car. And then the water thing, that was his thing. He gave us a bottle of water and so forth. And then he gave us some information that we didn't know about the city that we were visiting and about the city that we were going to go to. And then had he not told us about the Thalys train, that bullet train, it's so fast and it's clean and it's pretty and it's, you could have lunch and drinks and, it's just a really nice luxury train. We would not have known that because there are different trains. There's some that stop, have a lot of different stops, but this one is like a bullet. It just goes like real fast. So we knew to take that train and so forth, and that was good. My point is, here we are in a whole nother country, and we met someone that we got favor with. So if we had thought like, victim, and they want to rip us off and so forth, that just, we would not have had the experience that we had. And we really liked the experience that we had because it was a nice comfortable ride, and gave us water, and the conversation with the person who was not even a native of that country. They were just there from another country working there and so forth. And just to learn those little things, you just avail yourself for that. So that's what I'm saying. You have to know that things will come your way, but it all starts with the mindset. You prepare yourself, do the work, because I did the work. If I had not done the work, we would have paid $60 because, I mean, what are you going to challenge him? And I was able to tell him what I know, and he knew that it was true. Now I could have said 45 or come down to 40, but no, we just thought, okay, 50. He said 60. I know it's 40. We went 50. And then we got that water. I don't know how much a bottle of water costs, but the point is, it was a pleasant ride from the hotel from the airport to the hotel. So you see, we started out with a good experience from this particular gentleman, taxi driver, great guy. So it's the thoughts that you entertain. You have to know that life is for you. And the moment that you avail yourself with your thoughts, it's like the universe just shows up to help you in every area of your life. But it's up to you, amigos. It's up to you. And when you start on this path, yeah, you may have some challenge. You may get some criticism from people and so forth, but you have to ignore all that. It's like Brene Brown says, the critics don't matter. The opinions of the critics do not matter. And yes, we are humans. Like I know that we're humans and it can affect us, but then we just regroup. And it's like we say in my country, a mí se me resbala eso. Get that R in. Resbalar means it's like oil. If you take like olive oil and you pour it on something and it just slide down, you can't stop it. So that's a saying that we have in my country. Like somebody says something, a mí se me resbala eso. And you get that rolling R in there. A mí se me resbala eso means that it just slides right off and doesn't affect you. Of course, you get over it quickly because you don't want to take those negative emotions and thoughts and so forth and carry it with you. So you just get rid of them. This has been fantastic. When I come in, I talk to you, it's almost like I'm encouraging myself because it's like, I don't talk to myself audibly like this all the time, not like, not for this length of time, but I listen to myself. And as a matter of fact, when I go back and I listen to the tape and I look at it, I'm like, I like that girl. I like that lady. She is just the greatest. And that's that's what I think. Yeah. What am I going to say? But well, mind you, early, like when I first started and I wasn't comfortable and I really had a lot of insecurities because I didn't know what to do. I wasn't comfortable talking into a camera. You may be sitting at home on your couch, in the bed, whatever, listening to me, but this is not easy. You try talking into a camera and see how easy that is. But now I am so good. I am fine with this, and I am not looking for perfection. I am just looking to be here to chat with you once a week, every Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. This broadcast is streamed on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. This has been a great session. I appreciate you joining me, and I appreciate those of you that are streaming it at some other time and listening to the broadcast. It's been a great time. Again, this season of Vintage Charm at 60 Plus, just know that it is your best season. It's your best season where there's freedom and there's joy and confidence and, just a good life. We add meaning to our lives and we will live it on our terms unapologetically. Don't make excuses. There's nothing to defend. There's nothing to there's nothing to defend. There's nothing to protect. There's nothing to hide. You just be who you are, and that's it. Just be who you are. Don't try to do stuff. Just be who you are. And with that, I'm going to say again, thank you for tuning in today. I will see you next week, next Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Until then, ciao amigos, hasta luego, appreciate you, au revoir, bye bye. I say tata, gracias.